Good day, critters. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here,
we react to music videos and shows.
Today we're going back for episode 4 of a breakdown from Will at the Pixelists. They are an amazing channel. If you're not familiar with them, there's a link in our description. They do lots of great content, including Will doing these amazing breakdowns that shows us all these little tiny things that happen in the background and explains the meaning of stuff. And it's so cool that he's letting us do these reactions to his content. We really appreciate you, Will. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Can't wait.
Everybody, welcome back to the Pixelists. And oh my gosh, these episodes were so good. I
Yes.
am so excited to talk about episode 4 of the Legend of Vox Machina season 2.
Same.
Before we do, really quick spoiler warning. In this breakdown, I talk about a lot of stuff that happens in the campaign, and so thusly things could be spoilers if you did not see the campaign. That being said, I'll try to keep somewhat of a lid on it, and if I go into any massive moment type of spoilers, I will give a threat level midnight warning. And as long as that symbol's on the screen, you should mute if you don't want to know. Anyway, that being said, before we dive in really quick, holy crap, y'all. Thank you so much for all the love on these videos. Our small channel's subscriber count has literally doubled since I posted that first breakdown.
You
Tripled.
deserved it.
Like, just, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
It's tripled.
You guys
all the
deserved
likes,
it for all the
comments,
love
and
you
of
guys
course, all the new
have.
subscribers. I really can't overstate how much that helps a small channel like ours. So thank you. So I don't even know what to say. That's crazy.
Oh,
I
you're
cannot
doing an
believe we
awesome
doubled in
job.
less than a week. This channel's existed for over a year, and we doubled in a week. So wow, thank you. Let's get into it. Okay, to start things off, we get this opening vignette of Vex finding Trinket, and this.
Before we dive into this stuff, if you aren't the one watching this, if you're not already subscribed to the Pixelists, go subscribe to them. They are very cool.
And also support our channel.
Yeah, you can subscribe to us too if you haven't.
This is so cool. So this didn't happen in the campaign because this is a flashback. And like I said, there weren't flashback sequences in the original campaign. However, this story is canon, but in the form of a short story that Laura wrote for Matt and gave it to him to, show what her backstory was for how she came and got Trinket. Now, this is very, very similar to that story, but there have been some changes made. In the original story, this was just Vex. Vex was not here. She was kidnapped in this same way, but she managed to free herself. And similarly, she finds Trinket like they show in the show here. So, I mean, it makes sense why they added Vex just to kind of build on their, story together.
Tension.
Don't think that's really that important of a change. Everything else pretty much plays out the same though, and I love this opening scene, getting to see it, fully fleshed out.
It
like
was
this.
very
Previously,
cool.
It was just a short story. Couple cool details here. Obviously, we have Vax picking some locks, rogue stuff. Also being really stealthy, more rogue stuff. And in this scene, actually, when I was first watching, I didn't even notice them in the background. But when I was doing my rewatch to prepare for this breakdown, I noticed Vax and Vex.
I did not
in the shadows.
see.
This might be a really obvious one, and I was just,
I did not see that.
Didn't even notice it.
But I thought it was a cool detail. Alrighty, now we got to make our way back to the emotional damage chamber where Pike is currently trying and failing to heal Vex, because in D&D and tabletop RPGs, healing magic is a separate thing from resurrection magic.
Yep.
Resurrection magic is much more powerful, and as Cash, comes in and tries to get this done, he says as much. And he also says that if I do this and this works, like, she's going to owe me big time. And I think that's a nod to the fact that this type of magic in tabletop RPGs comes with a hefty price. You usually have to pay a large sum of gold in the form of diamonds or other material components in order to get this done.
Quite expensive.
So I like that little nod. Now, the ritual itself plays out similarly to how it did in the campaign. And, if you watch my last breakdown, I started
Love
that
the
clip.
color.
I will finish it after this segment so you guys can see how that plays out. The changes they made make a lot of sense. They streamlined it here for the show, and they also kind of took out the things people bring to the ritual, and you'll see what I mean once we watch this clip. But again, I think that all makes sense, and I'm going to touch more on what we actually see in the show after I play this clip. So see you in a second.
No effect. The fuck is going on?
I do. Do it.
Go, go, go,
I
go,
do.
go.
I have it prepared.
It's true. It's written down.
it.
It's true.
And I have third levels left. So
Do it.
Oh my god, I'm shaking.
All right.
bring her back.
You rush over, you reach into your pouch and pull out a bit of clustered diamonds in your hand that you keep just in case for such a circumstance. And as you place them out, you sprinkle them across her chest, kind of pushing Vax a little bit away, knowing that you need the concentration on this. At which point you pull up the symbol, and this type of magic, life and death magic, draws a little closer than you feel comfortable with Vesh. And you realize at this moment that you're going to have to make the choice to possibly call her attention forth.
Call whose attention for?
Oh, shit.
What are you hesitating for? Do it. Do it. Whatever the fuck you're gonna do, do it. She could destroy everything. Do it.
What do you mean she could destroy you? What do you mean?
Who's she?
The dragons are gonna be the least of your fears if she comes back. That's what I mean.
Kashaw, you're running out of time.
Who's she?
I'm gonna bring her back.
Okay. So, we're going to do a quick ritual skill challenge as part of this Revivify enchantment. So, as you...
Yeah, this is a much more complicated
symbol,
process.
And as you do, you can see all of the scars across your forearm begin to light with a deep red crimson energy. Just and you close your eyes, and as you look up, you can see Kasha's eye just go straight black. And this kind of dark energy begins to swirl off, and as it reaches out, it touches the diamonds, which then shatter upon impact, and the dark energy seeps into your sister's corpse.
Oh my god.
The back arches, though she does not register on the face or any of her movement. Her body lifts slightly in place, her arms just kind of draped, dangling, and scraping against the stone beneath her as she's elevated there. How do you guys want to help with this ritual?
I take out 3 of my shards of residuum, and I place them. In where the crystals are as an extra offering.
Okay, so the place residuum across where the diamond dust was shattered, and use that as almost a focus for the energy from the spell. All right, I need you to go ahead and roll an intelligence check. Just roll a d20 and add your intelligence modifier.
It's so tense.
Oh no.
I can use my re-rolls as well, correct? I can't
That's
use
for
my
saving throws.
That's for
not
saving
ability
throws.
checks. What'd you roll?
6.
6.
Failure.
The energy itself vibrates within the glass shards, which then shatter, seemingly not able to focus the energies of the spell.
I take my enchanted moonstone from my staff and place it next to her.
Okay. So as you take the moonstone, and what are you speaking to your patron to aid with this?
I am.
All right, so as you take the moonstone and hold it aloft, you place it near the focus of Kashaw's ritual. The dull white glow begins to intermingle with the dark, shattered energy of Vesh's grant, and as they impact, it creates this strange gray swirl. I need you to go ahead and roll an Arcana check. Just roll a d20 and add your Arcana skill to it.
Depending on what she does, I'd like to do something next.
17.
Okay. The gray balances, and where the two meet now, there is just gray energy seeping into her body. You, focusing, look up at the altar where the body was, and you see the very faint drifting image of a dark female form looking on.
That's the
Wants to make the third and final
what do you call that?
attempt at aid.
I will.
I do.
Spot. Oh shit!
I do.
I'll let you do it. I pull my sister in close, and I say, "Take me instead, you raven."
That's a big
bitch."
drink.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check
That's a good offer.
with advantage. 11. Okay. At this point, the dark female form that drifts from the altar, you glancing up intently, feeling the sudden, intense, fearful gaze of Vesh upon you. As it gets closer and closer, the presence is different. What you feared was Vesh is not Vesh, actually. It is an image, a specter of the Raven Queen herself. The face is formless at this proximity. You can't make any details. It's just this perpetually blurred female form of a face. The hair just tumbles down past. And as it steps forward, no expression, no words. The hand reaches out towards you, Vax.
Oh.
There's a nod. The magic strengthens, focusing through your moon crystal into Vax's body. Take a picture of this so that no one questions this. A moment passes.
So, right about here, this is where Matthew Mercer is famous for fake outs.
Ah.
He's famous for drawing the tension and letting people think something happened and then switching it up on them. So
Look at their faces.
They are so, literally this is like life and death. This is Laura Bailey, her character that she has played for 4 years or something like that. She's so attached to this character. It's like her own self.
Right.
And she's about to lose it. Right? That's what's on the line here.
That's why she's like,
play.
Oh my
If
God.
this fails, she cannot play her character anymore. It's just done. It just is erased, basically. So
Look how tense they are.
it is.
And like so focused.
Yeah, it is quite a tense moment.
A second moment passes. The vision of the Raven Queen nods the head to you, steps backward, and the specter vanishes. Breath fills Vex's lungs as she begins to cough, her form drifting back to the stonework.
Look at
The
Percy.
vision clears, and you find yourself looking up at the partially broken stone ceiling of the dark altar, into the face of your brother, tears streaming down his face. The rest of your friends gathered
Are they
around.
husband and wife?
What happened?
No.
Oh, they're not.
Okay, so coming back to
Oh, the
show
other guy.
now, you
Never
can
mind.
see how faithful of an adaptation this was.
Forgot about it.
And the changes they made, I think make sense. And one thing I love here is that in the show, Vax is the only one that can see the Raven Queen, and therefore, I think the only one that's really privy to this deal that he's making.
Right.
Whereas in the campaign, I guess we don't know that all of them could see her, but at least Cash could, and I think the implication is that everyone could.
So Cash could see it?
So I'm really interested to see kind
And
of how
only
that,
Vax?
that story thread unravels with
They
Vax
changed
and
it.
everybody else finding out exactly what deal he struck here. And just the imagery with the thread of fate connecting Vax and Vex is just beautiful.
Pretty cool.
And if you didn't know, if you didn't watch the original campaign, these threads of fate show up in the intro to the show. So it's really cool that, they're actually showing up in the episode now too.
The other huge difference between the show and what we just watched is that Ashley Johnson and
there.
Pike not there
I was going to
at
ask you.
all. Not there. Pike's not in this scene whatsoever. And so they're really rewriting lots of things to just make her be there where she wasn't there, which I think is a really cool positive thing. I really like having her there even when she wasn't there originally.
And just the significance of the Raven Queen severing that thread is just devastating. Obviously, Vax and Vex are twins, so they are, they have a connection. But I think this thread goes deeper than just that surface level implication. And this is pure speculation on my part. But I think that this kind of is implying that had Vex died here, that Vax would have not been far behind. And that's not to say that he would have taken his own life necessarily, but I just don't think that he could have really existed without her.
Yeah.
And that's just sad, you know, and watching that cord get severed is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
More on the threads of fate a little bit later in the episode, but coming out of this, you know, the vestige of divergence just appears on Vax, and this is so cool. It did not happen that way in the campaign. This is new, and I will touch on the vestige a little bit more once we get to the scene later that actually deals with it. But just so badass, man. Alrighty, next up, Vax finds this mural on the wall that has a bunch of deities on it.
That's the one I want. I'm interested in.
This is just such a cool way to do this. I'll speak more on this once we actually get into the vision, but just what a cool creative liberty here. This didn't happen in the campaign where Vax had these like flashback visions, but just what a cool way to kind of progress the story forward and give us some of this background information.
Yeah.
But anyways, talking about these deities, I'm going to go from left to right here, and I'm pretty confident on all of these, but there is room for argument on a couple of them. But anyway, starting from left to right, we've got the Everlight, which is Pike's god. Then we have what I believe to be the Wild Mother. Next up, I believe, is the Law Bearer. Then we've got the Dawn Father, the Storm Lord, and finally the Raven Queen. Now, the ones that are up for debate, in my opinion, are the ones second and third from the left. So the one I said, Wild Mother and Law Bearer. The other ones I'm almost 100% on. Those two are iffy because we haven't seen any depictions of them in this show yet. But the reason I'm fairly confident saying this is in the next scene when we get the big versions of the deities, it's a bit clearer to make out what's what. So let's move to that now. Here, this big shot we got in the trailer, I believe we have Pelor on the left, the Chained Oblivion Tharizdun on the right, and in the middle, I believe, is the Law Bearer. Now, in my trailer breakdown, I said this was Ioun because I thought with that third glowy thing in the forehead that was representative of the three eyes. But in this next shot, we have what is clearly a three-eyed person standing behind Vax, and there are also scrolls surrounding that person. So I think that is clearly Ioun, the Knowing Mistress, which means this one in the center here couldn't be. And that same triangle that I thought was the third eye is present on the mural I was just speaking about. So whatever this guy is that same one from the mural. And we know the Law Bearer to be in the show's canon. And so I think that just makes sense, especially with how it is framed in this first shot being front and center. And we know the Law Bearer in Vasselheim is like one of the main ones. I just think this makes sense. Now, there's still room for argument there. So if anyone wants to come for me in the comments, let's get it on. But I'm fairly confident. Then moving
Fight
on,
me.
Also in this scene, we have Vax seeing a glimpse of the Sphinx, and then of course of the mountain where the Sphinx resides. I think this is a really cool way to have Vox Machina figure out exactly where they needed to go.
Yeah.
Because, you know, prior to this moment, it was just find my mate. So I touched on this earlier, but I think this device of the Raven Queen giving Vax these visions of the past is going to just be so cool. All right, next.
In later campaigns, after this whole Vox Machina stuff is over, Matt really started using more dream sequences and visions that he would describe to specific people. Sometimes he would have everyone leave the table except for the person he was talking to. And so in campaign 2 and 3, we do get some stuff kind of like this that happens during those campaigns, but he wasn't really yet using that mechanism during this campaign.
I see.
So it's really cool that we're sort of getting to fit these things back into the campaign that he might have put in had he been using that device at that point. So this is definitely, it very much fits with the flavor of how Matt does his thing today. So
next up, we have Zara and Cash levitating up to the second floor here, where she then reveals she's holding a not a beholder in her necklace that she unleashes upon Vox Machina so that they can steal the vestige. Now, again, I say not a beholder because beholder's a trademarked D&D monster, and they are, going away from those things in this show. And in the campaign, they fought a beholder down here. So I really like the kind of changes they made here. This monster is really cool. And if you're not familiar, beholders in D&D have a whole bunch of eyes, and they shoot out eye beams. Those are like their attacks, and the different beams do different things. And one of the things that they can do is petrify. So it's really neat that this monster's tentacles can petrify. And it's a cool way to kind of
So what's the
just
monster
make it
name?
distinct, right?
We don't know.
I honestly think this is almost more menacing than a beholder, but maybe it's just because it's new. But the way it just kind of roots itself in one place, and the tentacles can just go every which way. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and change
Anyway, the
direction.
fight, there's a lot of like abilities shown in this fight of Vox Machina, just kind of like throwing everything they've got at the beholder. I'm not going to go through and speculate on what each thing is. I don't really think they're even tuning it that much toward what the actual encounter in the campaign was like. What's important to talk about in this fight is instead Vax's little vision, and then of course, when he actually comes out swinging, what happens there.
That's the really important
Before
part.
we dive into that, one thing I wanted to touch on is after Cash kind of has like the crisis of conscience and is like, no, like I'm going down there to help them. The first person he goes to try to unpetrify is Keylith, which is just a nice little detail. All right, so as everyone is fighting the legally distinct from a
The interesting part about all of this is that in the campaign, Cash and Keylith kind of have a little flirty relationship. But the reason that they have that is because Marisha had confessed that she kind of had a crush on Will Friedle from when he was on his shows. Like, because he's a kid actor. He was in Boy Meets World.
Oh, that's right.
And so she had confessed that she had a little crush on him from when she used to watch that show, right? And so
which one is he from the?
He's Cash. Oh, he's the brother of he's not the main guy. He's the brother of the main character in Boy Meets World.
Fred Savage?
No. That's the Wonder Years.
Oh.
That's a totally different show. That's a different show. So because she had confessed that she had this like crush on him as a kid actor, they kind of built this flirty thing into between their two characters. And so that's why he's saying that him going to her first, because in this show even they were flirty, but it was much more in the campaign.
Has a little crush.
Yeah.
Beholder, Vax gets hit with his next dose of vision from the Matron of Ravens, and it opens on this fallen soldier with a broken sword. And instinctually, the first thing with all these vestiges of divergence happening recently was, could this be the Star Razor? But I don't think it is. One, the timing doesn't make sense, as the Star Razor wasn't sundered until post-divergence, which was post-calamity.
Okay.
Not that it couldn't be, though, but then I took a look at the earlier shot of all the soldiers fighting, and the swords they're all using look strikingly similar to this. It is slightly different, so I guess there is room for interpretation, but for my money, this isn't Star Razor. Moving on, though, we have Vax versus Pervon, and this had no right to be as cool as it was. This was Matt getting revenge for everyone making fun of this guy's name. He is an absolute badass. And as you'll recall, he is the previous champion of the Raven Queen. So I love that they're kind of having this duel to pass the mantle.
Another thing that didn't ever happen.
So Matt is Pervon too?
Just one I want to call out is that it was so cool, just the damage Vax is taking. And I think I spoke briefly on this during my season 1 breakdowns. But the attention to detail in this show is just so top notch. The fact that we actually get like his broken and bruised body represented in the animation, and not just like he's losing, is so cool. I mean, the
broken fingers
and nose,
disgusting, but it's just so cool to see.
To answer your question, though, yes, in the game, Matt is everyone that's not the characters.
I see.
Right? In the campaign, Matt speaks for every character that isn't one of them.
I see.
So, yes, in essence, Matt is Pervon.
Okay.
Matt is Allura. Matt is the dragon.
Okay.
Matt is,
I see.
he is Uriel. He's
different.
every single character.
And Azusa, Azusa's not, because it was a different voice.
So, which one?
Azusa,
Who's that? Asusa.
the lady Spink.
Oh, Osisa.
Osisa.
Well, in the game, he was Osisa. Yeah.
But they put a different voice.
Yeah. So I believe, though, that in this, Matt Mercer did voice Pervon for the one line that he had. Yeah. But yes, Matt is always everybody.
Okay.
Other than that, this one's a stretch, but I couldn't help but notice with the focus on this tree in this shot, if this might just be the tree of names, or at least, an artistic representation of the tree of names for the purposes of this vision. Now, if you don't know what the tree of names is, I'm not going to get way into the weeds and explain it here, but it is a Calamity era relic. I mean, it's older than the Calamity itself, but it had some focus in the Calamity. And so I don't know. Again, I don't want to get too rambly on it here, but could be the tree of names, or at least representative of it. And if so, awesome. As this duel draws to its close, there's a couple of really interesting details here. And first, we have Vax accepting his fate and kind of embracing what's to come. And it seems as if that's the trigger to ending this trial of sorts, because he now dons the Deathwalker's ward and is becoming the champion of the Matron of Ravens. However, it's not quite that simple, because in that final moment where we have Pervon racing towards him to strike, that final strike does land and it does draw blood. So I know this is a vision, but it seems as if Vax has been slain, or at least the Vax that Vax used to be. And what's really interesting here is Pervon, up until this point, has been this ghastly skeleton beneath this armor.
Right.
Yeah.
But now that the mantle has passed to Vax, now that he has struck down Vax and Vax is rising to become the new champion of Ravens, Pervon has his human eyes back. And you can see his skin beneath the mask for the first time. So Pervon has now regained his humanity, which begs the question, what has Vax lost?
Right.
And to crown off this scene, we have this awesome shot of Pervon and Vax and the Matron of Ravens between them, kind of finally
kneeling,
ushering in this official changing of
I like
the
that.
guard.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene. One thing that Will didn't talk about, but that I kind of figured out while I was editing our reaction, is that the flashback at the very beginning of the episode where they found Trinket and Trinket's mom, and this scene are directly connected. And they're connected by this, well, one, by the words that baby Vex says, right? She appears to him in his vision and says, it's out of our control. Right? And those are literally the exact words that she says right before they do a mercy killing of Trinket's mom. They're literally the exact words. And then Trinket's mom is mercifully killed. And then that's what she says to him.
Grab them. He grabbed them. It's out of our control.
And she says, whatever happens, it's out of our control. And so perhaps it represents the merciful killing of Vax as well, because those two scenes are mirrors. Right. Which is beautiful symmetry and great writing and just amazing work. So surprised he didn't bring it up.
And this is just gorgeous. I think I mentioned this before, but
might.
None of this was
That's
in the original
beautiful
campaign. And this is like a textbook example of how to change a beloved IP in the right ways to serve as your story. And just bravo. Alrighty, so Vax comes out of his vision quest, now officially the champion of Ravens, and he's got his armor lighten up to boot. And I believe this is a representation of the Deathwalker's Ward awakening. See, in Matt's world, the vestiges of divergence have phases. They can be dormant, awakened, or exalted. Now, not every vestige has every phase, but in the Deathwalker's Ward case, it does. So I believe we are seeing the second awakened phase here. And this scene was just so awesome. He goes absolutely berserk by himself and deals with this not a beholder. And this is a really, really cool creative license from the original campaign. In the original campaign, the vestiges of divergence were a thing. They hunted them down just like they are in the show. And Vax gets the Deathwalker's ward, just like in the show. But in D&D and D&D 5e specifically, which is the version they played during Campaign 1 and are still playing for that matter, your character gets more powerful mainly just from leveling up and their own class abilities, more so than getting an astronomical power jump from an item like we're witnessing here in the show.
Yeah.
But that's not very fun. Like the items are good, don't get me wrong, but how they're displaying this in the show is so cool and such a great change in my opinion. It really makes these vestiges feel substantial and makes it feel like, okay, you know what? If we did get our hands on a few of these, then maybe we could beat these dragons. So absolutely love it. Absolutely love the flavor of it. And I think they've actually combined another item from the campaign with this vestige of divergence because Vax is like the Flash. He's so fast darting around.
Right.
And an item Vax
That's what I
had in the
thought
original
too.
campaign was the Boots of Haste. And basically what those allowed him to do was just go real fast. So I love that they've incorporated that into the vestige here. And another awesome shot in this battle, we get Vax kind of jumping up with this mural of the Raven
hovering
behind him. And this is just epic. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me just fanboy out over this whole battle.
It's pretty cool.
Right there with you, bro.
And I think this shot in particular actually might be a little bit of foreshadowing because
Look at that.
It looks like Vax is flying here.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm actually not the only one fanboying over this because if you didn't notice, Keylith at the end of this is feeling some type of way. Also, maybe Scanlan. All right, so coming out of this fight after they escape from the tomb, we have Vax and Percy kind of having a one-on-one where Vax actually punches Percy in the face for what happened to his sister. And this is a moment lifted directly from the campaign. And you guys know the drill by now. I'm going to share the clip, so I'll see you in a little bit.
Roll that clip.
I had a careless moment, and I apologize.
Wait.
And you're the first apology I'm putting forward. I don't know if I would have done anything different, but I hope you know that I would have never forgiven myself.
What are you talking about?
I rushed in and triggered the trap that almost killed your sister.
They killed my sister.
I can't say that.
What do you mean?
I was careless.
Well, what happened, Percival?
I felt the danger had passed and I moved too quickly and opened the casket without thinking. That's all. I just didn't think.
But he
opened it?
But he didn't punch him.
Not yet.
I wasn't thinking. Sometimes we just move.
Look at Laura. She's loving this.
But I want you to know that it would have. I'm very glad that she's alive because I don't think I could have lived with myself.
All right.
Look at it.
Could you do me a favor? In the future, if there is anything that your little heart desires inside of a box, in the future, could you check with my sister or myself first?
That's the hope. Yes. That was It was more of a lesson than I was hoping for. Thankfully, not too much of one.
Well,
And none of us are beyond mistakes, but that is a mistake that I am going to be thinking about for a very long time.
He's trying real hard to apologize
Going into
here.
dangerous territory, and we all have to think.
Much more of a conversation than it was in the show.
Right. I would have been like, no.
Especially, I couldn't.
well, listen, Percy. We are not playing a game, and you will all make mistakes, and I wager I will make my fair share. I've little doubt. And Percival, I want to apologize.
Oh, he apologized. But he didn't on the...
But, and I punch him in his know-it-all fucking mouth.
Do you attempt to move out of the way or take it?
Yeah, let's take it.
All right. Decks you square in the... You know, for as hefty as a punch it was, it doesn't hurt quite as much as you expected, but it's not the physical pain that hurts more than the action and the knowledge that there are more repercussions to your
actions.
Rash decision than even you initially anticipated.
Yeah.
Wow. They really take this hard.
They acted out.
Yeah.
And I think he...
It's 4 in the afternoon.
I'm going into my studio.
All right, next up we have Zara giving Vex the necklace. I spoke a little bit on the necklace earlier when Zara used it, so I'll be brief here. But in the campaign, Vex had this necklace and she put Trinket in it, just like she tests out here. Like I mentioned, and I think in my earlier breakdown, Trinket's a bear and he can't come a lot of places. So I think Matt introduced this item in the campaign originally to kind of solve that issue for Laura and for the whole party. So now Trinket, can go where no bear has ever gone before. And there's an added piece of foreshadowing in this scene because Grog is really enthusiastic about trying this himself, and maybe he'll get the chance. Next up, we have Vax having another moment alone, and he is granted another vision into the past.
Yeah.
Here of a man and his wife, presumably on his deathbed, with his soul being reaped by the Matron of Ravens.
I don't think he's
Now,
anybody
I've
in
seen some people
particular.
say that they think these are the Briarwoods. I really don't think so. One, other than the fact that it's a man and woman, I don't really think this looks like the Briarwoods at all. I'll include a picture of the actual Briarwoods. You decide. But in addition to their looks, which I guess you could argue maybe changed, the Briarwoods were in a castle, and this is a cabin out in the middle of nowhere. I think this is more so just the Raven Queen kind of giving a glimpse to Vax of what, like, his new job entails.
His
if you
future,
will.
what his
Reaping
future
souls.
entails.
And what's kind of heartbreaking here is, we had the severing of the tether with Vex, and here the Matron of Ravens tethers Vax to herself, kind of showing that, he is hers now. He's the champion of the Matron of Ravens, and now this is going to be his life, his future from now on. And kind of ringing this point home, I think, is the fact that we get this jump scare of this skeleton.
Yeah,
behind Vax,
I jumped.
and it is very clearly a skeleton of Vax. And I think if you couple this with the things I was saying about Pervon in the earlier scene, how he was a skeleton beneath that armor,
Yeah,
I think
it
this
has
is
no
Vax
eyes.
kind of getting a glimpse of his own future. Like his human, and he's half elf, but you know what I mean. His physical body is going to be forfeit, and that life left behind in order to, embrace this new life, this new role as the matron's hand, if you will. And to end this episode, we have Ripley spying on Vox Machina with a scribe.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's keeping tabs on them, and she's making her way to Westerin, which is currently subjugated
Making her
by
way.
Umbrasyl. So this is really interesting, and this is a change from the campaign. But there's another scene with her later in this chunk of 3 episodes. So I think I'm going to save the majority of my thoughts for it there. I feel like it just makes more sense.
Right.
But yeah, this is they're diverting from the campaign, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But you'll have to stay tuned to find out more for the next breakdowns. And yeah, that's gonna end the episode, y'all. As always, let me know in the comments what I missed. Again, thank you for all the love on these videos. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna get to work on the next one. But I'm gonna leave you with a little treat as usual. This episode was actually titled "Those Who Walk Away," so enjoy.
That's all there is to say. And then I actually walk off.
Vax just walks away off the roof, out of here. I'm gone.
I got the cloak and I just walk away. I walk away. I walk off. I leave the fucking house. Well, so are you, but what the fuck am I gonna do with that? Jeez, you're fucking weird. And I walk off.
Vax? Oh, he's around. You know, he's probably just sulking.
Is that Ashley?
I sidle up
Being
next to
brutal.
my sister and just stand there for a moment and deadpan say, oh, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
And then I walk away.
And then I walk away. I have no clever answer to give you.
That's wonderful. I love you. And I walk away.
That's cool. So that was their little joke.
Yeah, well, it was mostly Liam walking away out of situations that he didn't know how to handle. But I thought that was a very comprehensive breakdown. I really appreciate the hard work.
Yeah.
Will has been literally tied to his, well, not literally. He has been figuratively tied to his computer for days on end because these breakdowns are a huge amount of work. They are a labor of love, and it shows in how good they are.
Right.
We really appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much for doing this for us and allowing
me
us
understand more as a non-critter.
And you know, there are things that I miss. I'm a critter. I've seen every one of these episodes, but they were a long time ago, and that doesn't mean I remember all of them. My memory's a little bad sometimes, so it's really good to get a reminder of some things on occasion. And there were only a couple things that I think Will missed. So great job. We really appreciate you, and we're looking forward to the next couple, and then the next 6 after that.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we'll go ahead and give you guys one last reminder that the Pixelists are amazing. Their link is in the description below. You should go check them out. They have great content. A weekly breakdown of the live campaign of Critical Role. So if you're a Critical Role fan, you will enjoy their content for sure. And thank you again.
And don't forget to check out our Vox Machina review and reactions.
Yeah, links to those in the description as well.
And thank you for your love and support to our channel. We're small but mighty. We really appreciate you guys' comments, your suggestions, and your recommendations, or purely great comments. We really appreciate them. Yeah. Thank you again, and see you in the next video.